mentioned 3D earlier, 3D printing. The emergence of new supply chain technologies are driving innovation in the supply chain, like also wearable technologies. Now, are these technologies having capabilities to transform their supply chains?
Oh, absolutely. I think what we call this as a disruptive technologies, right? So the disruptive meaning that if they become commercialized, right, the impact the cell phone and a smartphone has today than 15 years ago is amazingly different. It's changed the way we do things, the way we live, the way we consume and manage day-to-day activities has been completely disrupted. And I think you'll see that that 3D printing or wearable technology and continuance of the data and speed and will have a huge impact on supply chain, because the decisions will then be made very differently about where do you source the product, where do you manufacture, where do you package, and how do you ship it. Because 3D printing, for example, if it gets commercialized and becomes mainstream, one can envision that you're manufacturing something very close to the demand. You don't need to really build in a mass and transport everywhere and then decentralize it and then ship it and do the last mile delivery. You can be very close to the demand and manage regional demand within very close proximity. So that is a huge change if that were to happen than what we do traditionally for all of these years running a supply chain.
Okay. Well, on the other hand, e-commerce and B2B platforms are also affecting the supply chain, from retailers to distributors and manufacturers. What are the advantages in using online channels, first of all?
Well, I think it's not even a matter of advantage or disadvantage. It is the way of life now. So e-commerce is here to stay. Online platform is here to stay. In fact, the millennial, the new generation, the young kids, that's a preferred method to live their day-to-day life, communicate, shop, transact. Everything is happening via their devices, mobile device. So I think it's a absolutely positive thing that's happening from the supplier side and from the retailer side. It is how do you figure these things out and how do you manage efficiently and provide the service to your end customer.
And also, e-commerce is making products more available directly to consumers, right? Does this affect the true cost since it's driving smaller shipment sizes?
Well, I think it drives the cost down, the goods, because today the consumer, on a click of a button, can view the product and compare the prices in 5 different retailers. So in other words, the transparency is incredible. So they can look at it and say, if I want to buy this jacket, the same jacket or Nike shoes, I can look at 5 different stores and find the cheapest one, click and order and get it shipped. So it creates a tremendous pressure on the sell side if you are in an e-commerce business, because not only you have to be fast, but you have to be more cost conscious and efficient.
But competition is quite high.
Competition, and that's exactly right. And so if you are in this space in e-commerce, which is a growing space, you really have to figure out the supply chain to be cost effective and efficient.
I see. Now, looking into the future, what do you think are the major factors right now that will have significant and certain impact to the supply chain?
So I think we talked about the mega trends, emerging middle class in Asia, for example, or even in other part of the world. I think that can have a huge impact. The technology on other dimensions, I think, could also drive tremendous.
What about the trend in going green? Will it have impact on the suppliers?
Absolutely. I think so. If you think about the millennial, the generations we just talked about, they're very prone to e-commerce. They are very mobile savvy. They want things today. They want things cheaper, better, faster. But I think along the same line, they also want things that are environmentally friendly. So they're much more conscious about this sustainable supply chain, and for right reason, because you have a huge environmental issues. You know, the global warming, things, urbanizations, and I think we're depleting the natural resources faster than our ability to, or even Earth's ability in the natural environment to rehabilitate. So I think those things are certainly going to be very, very impactful. In fact, there's a data that suggests that consumer is willing to spend a little bit more knowing the fact the product is green.
Right. That's true. Now, to the suppliers, how to mitigate these problems, or mitigate like urbanization, emerging economies, and also how should they invest in going green as well?
Well, I think you need to do both. You need to not only mitigate, I think you need to embrace this trend and change and accept it. This is our future.
Right.
The good thing is this urbanization, the rising middle class, the affluences and discretionary spending, all these things is creating tremendous opportunity for suppliers to market their product to this rising population. You have to now figure out, if I have to do it, and if I have to be in the game in this market, can I do it right way?
Right.
Can I make it much more consciously, taking care of my local resources, environment, employees, and be somewhat socially responsible for it.
Right.